Welcome back to Divine Chaos. I'm so excited that you could join us today. I'm Christa, I'm your host, and today we have Deborah with us today, and I'm so excited. I met Deborah at a women's networking group. It was our first time actually meeting the whole group itself, and it was by far the best meeting that I had been to since living here in Panama.
Yeah.
And meeting you made it even more special because here you are introducing yourself, and I was like, oh my gosh, because you're connecting with my past life. Do you want to share with us what it is that you were introducing?
Well,
like your big event that's coming?
Oh, yeah. I want to talk about my big event. So as I stood up to kind of introduce myself at this women's meeting, which I totally agree with you. I normally don't like women's gatherings.
Right.
Because sometimes they can be toxic and competitive and
clicky.
Clicky. I just usually don't go. But I was so glad I went. It was so freeing. People were open. They were friendly. You could tell we were all there for the same purpose. So I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Me too.
And so one of the things that I shared in addition to marketing that I do, which kind of pays my bills, I've done marketing for 20 years. I write content. Not necessarily an influencer online content. I write marketing content for small businesses, which could include, social media.
Me.
But their website, their brochures, their printed collateral, those kinds of things.
Oh my gosh, we need to talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But my passion that I would do for free is erotica. So I also write erotica, short stories, and I'm also working on a book, which I have to tell you the whole story about that. But yeah, so that's my passion is erotica. And now I am into the second year of producing here in Panama City the Panama Erotic Art Exhibit. Mm-hmm. And so that will be June 12th through the 21st. It's at the Whale Gallery over in Calle 50.
It's also in my calendar with the ticket,
right? And so that's what I've been doing here in Panama, working on my stuff.
I think that's so fascinating. And when you started talking, because I worked, as I mentioned to you, I used to sell sex toys and lingerie.
Yeah.
And that's my very short version of way of putting it, But a lot of times I would get the snug remarks or the snug looks, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, I'm sorry, your bedroom sucks,
Right? It's not my fault you're not enjoying sex.
Right. Or yourself, or, like there's so much to that.
Yeah.
And it was, you ended your there was a point where you said it, where it's about empowerment.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like instantly clicked with you, because I was like, that's exactly why I did what I did, because it was so gratifying, empowering all those women,
And for women to take control of their own sexual pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a sexologist. I'm not a sex therapist. I mean, I just love erotica, and it's kind of led me down that path. But it's exactly what you're saying. It's empowering women to just be in control of your own sexual...
To even explore.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a whole... Yeah.
I was just at another event over this past weekend, and I got in this wonderful conversation with a lady, and we were talking about how it was. She's actually a little bit younger than what my mom would be. She's in her 70s. My mom was born in 48, my dad in 41. She was born in the early 50s. So if you remember that decade, I don't know, I'm not going to say you remember like you were there, but like they don't talk about certain things.
Right.
We were talking about periods back then, and in that conversation, like I never got a period talk. I never had the sex talk.
Oh, me either.
I never had any of that.
Yeah,
it was very shameful.
Yeah.
Everything that they ever said to us was shameful. It was full of shame.
Yeah.
So I grew up, and then now you had to get over it. So it's like when you're now working with these women, you get to help them release that shame, and it's like, freaking empowering.
It is.
You know?
It absolutely
it's-
is.
Yeah.
Absolutely is.
I
mean,
love
you
it.
would be shocked at the number of grown-ass women who have never seen their own vagina.
Yeah.
Like they've never taken a mirror.
I was
and
one of
looked-
them. And then I saw it on Sex and the City, and I was like, oh my God, that's kind of crazy. I don't know if I could do it.
Yeah. It's insane that
Yeah.
you have a whole body part
Yeah.
that you either
It's full of shame. You can't look at
either
it.
you're ashamed or you're totally oblivious and you've kind of brushed it off like it's there, but it's like the bottom of my toes. I don't need to see it.
Yeah.
And it's such a huge part of who we are.
It is. It is.
Yeah,
And it's magnificent.
absolutely it is.
Yeah.
Rules the world.
Yeah. It's like they say, what is it that they say? We hold the power of the universe within us. It's
Yeah.
our uterus.
Yeah.
The uterus is our universe, or something. There's
Something
a little
like that.
phrase.
Yeah.
That, I'll have to think about it.
Yeah.
But it will come to me.
Absolutely.
Speaking of all that.
Absolutely.
I'm excited for that event. And then I saw somebody else post it too, and I was like, is this the same one? I think it would be the same one because they wouldn't have two.
Well, yes and no.
It has a lot to do. It has to do with art.
Yeah, I do have, I don't want to call her a competitor. I will call her an admirer, someone who has tried to emulate what I do. And I think she was hosting an erotic art show here in Casco Viejo last week or either this week.
I don't know when it was because my mind went, it's a different flyer,
Yeah,
but I'm sure it's probably the same one.
yeah, could be. So I don't know. I did not want to get caught up in what she was doing because I'm a firm believer in this. What is for you is for you,
Yeah.
and what you need will be there for you. And I am confident in no one being able to match my work ethic
Right.
and my creativity. I stand by that.
Right.
And so while I have an admirer who thinks she can do what I do, I believe the universe is vast, and I believe that there is an infinite supply of creative ideas.
Yeah.
And I just need to tap
And
into
people.
mine. And people.
Yeah.
I just need to tap into mine.
She'll
And so-
have her little following.
and
And
hello.
Yeah.
And so that's what it is. And so, like I said, I've now just kind of seen her as an admirer. Okay, so there must be something I'm doing that you admire that you would want to kind of try to duplicate that, but you can't be me. And I
Right.
can't be her either.
Right.
But you can't be me. So, oh well.
that's a empowering frame of mind. Because yeah. I remember being in sales, like it was that business,
Yeah.
and you get the reps, the other girls being like, "Well, it's too saturated. It's too saturated," and it's like, no, it's not.
No, no.
Like you realize how many women are out there, and I don't hold what you might hold for somebody.
Right. Exactly.
I hold what I hold.
Yeah.
I'll attract the people that I attract, and you attract
and
the
you
people
and
that
you do
you attract.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
it's an open game. Open game.
Exactly. Yeah.
So let's go back to the marketing. When I was in high school, I always wanted to go and like advertise and design.
Oh, okay.
So that's my jam,
Oh, wow.
and writing
Yeah.
and everything. So I'm just, but I got married, and I had a kid and started working full time and never saw that. Actually, living here in Panama is like my childhood dream.
Oh,
coming
really?
true. Yeah,
Okay.
it's city-like.
Uh-huh.
I was supposed to move to Chicago, and because I was in Chicagoland, and I always was supposed to go to the Art Institute in Chicago.
Oh, wow,
And
okay.
I had a scholarship there. Kiss that goodbye. But I always wanted to ride the subway everywhere.
Yeah.
And I take the metro here. I recorded my first time on that metro in there because I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is so cool.
And I haven't done it. And a group of my
it's
expat
just
friends.
a little metro,
Let me show you.
But it's so freaking
It's
cool.
I want to be able to do that. Absolutely.
I jumped on it. I got on there. I was so like proud of myself today because I made it here without any maps. Isn't that huge?
I didn't even. So huge.
And I thought so. I thought it was.
So huge.
I think it is. You know, and I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
So proud of myself.
Absolutely, I would be. I would absolutely be. Yeah, I got to do it. I have to do it. Yeah. It's on my list. On my list.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like, you've been here for 3 years, you said?
Yeah.
3 years. I came here in December.
Oh, okay.
But I lived in Costa Rica for 4-ish years.
Oh,
so,
all right.
You know, but I lived really close to the border. So, and I would always have to do border runs. Like, I have a border run coming up for Panama. Oh. And I live so close to the border, I would just drive to the Panama border. I'd check in, check out, because, you know, the offices were right next to each other.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. But they can't do anything about it now. So, And I would check in, check out, and then go drive home.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
because it's not like there were immigration or that, you know, because I was like, it's rural.
Yeah.
You know, like nobody cared. Nobody really cared. And then I would do that well, in the beginning, it was every 3 months.
Yeah, and
right?
then they extended it, yeah.
Oh my gosh, what an exciting day.
Right?
That was exciting. I was like, oh my gosh, I could do a full 6 months.
Right.
You know? And so that's the only part of Panama that I really knew.
Oh, okay.
Rio Janeiro.
Okay.
Rio Janeiro, and then a couple of times I went to Paso Canoas.
Okay.
Have you been there?
No.
It is crazy. It was too overloading for me. Like it was so super busy. It was so go.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Okay.
It's where everybody goes for all their shopping needs.
Okay.
You know, it's like it's go.
Yeah.
And Rio Janeiro is more of like it's a laid back town.
Okay.
You know, it's still Panama, but you know, yeah. But I had never been to this part. You know?
Oh, okay.
So this is a whole new world.
Yeah.
A whole new mamma jamma.
Right?
How did you come to Panama?
Oh my God. I was a rebel in my mind and online after the 2016 election in the U.S.
Was that with Biden? Who was running back then?
That was Trump and Clinton and Hillary, 2016.
I don't even remember.
Yeah. And
Holy cow.
After the election, I just was online. I was an online advocate, activist,
right.
And I just talked to all my friends, and oh my God, and I went on like that for probably about 2.5, 3 years. And finally, I woke up one morning and I just thought, you know what? You're either going to have to do something about this, or you really need to just shut up.
I said that to my kid. Kind of, in a softer way.
Yeah. Well,
but it was because, you know, carry on.
What good are you doing?
Right, and you're only hurting yourself.
Because you're just And so I started researching, okay, if you're going to leave the country, where would you go? And I researched places that I had been, you know, Mexico and Barcelona and some other cities that I thought were metropolitan that I would enjoy because I wanted to be by the ocean. You know, I wanted good culture and good food and all of that. So I started researching places, and Panama was not on my list at all.
Yeah.
And
funny, it's never been on my list either.
Like what? Really?
Yeah.
And so someone mentioned it just in passing conversation, and I went, Panama? Oh, well, let me look that up. Mm-hmm. And so I did. And as I tried to stay true to my criteria, Panama kept checking all the boxes.
Yeah.
You know, it was a stable government. It had...
Not like Nicaragua? I was going to go to Nicaragua, and I was filled in. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really want to do that now.
And a stable economy. I mean, even though I loved Barcelona at one time, their
I've never
economy
been there.
was going to tank. I mean, their country was going under in terms of economically in their GDP. So I thought, well, I don't want to be in a place where the money, falls apart. So anyway, Panama kept checking all the boxes. And I decided in 2020, excuse me, I wanted to come visit. Well, of course, that was in the middle of the pandemic. I couldn't even get a flight into Panama. They had shut down the airports and we couldn't get in. And so I came in 2021, early 2021, I think February or March. And just to say, okay, it all looked good on paper, but let's just kind of see what this is going to look like. So I stayed about a week and I loved it. And I went back to Las Vegas.
Is that where you normally are?
Yeah, well, I lived 20 years in Vegas.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been out there quite a few times. Quite a few times. I used to go there for work all the time. And fine.
I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, but then I moved to Vegas and I was there 20 years. And so I left here in Panama and I went back to Vegas and I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. So then I came back to Panama probably about 3 months later, and this time I stayed a month. And I just really tootled around the city and, where would you live and, that kind of thing. So, ta-da. And so I moved February of 2022.
I love that sound effect. I'm always like, dun, da, da, da.
So, February 2022, I moved.
Wow.
Sold my car, everything in my apartment. I came here with 4 suitcases and 3 big boxes.
Oh.
By myself, didn't know a soul.
Yeah.
And everybody thought, are you crazy at your age and you're going to, move out of the country?
And then when you get here, like, I don't know if I'm sure it probably happened to you, but everybody local anyway, they're always like, so what about your family? Where's your family at? I'm like, solo.
It's just me.
Except for mi gato. I got mi gato. He's me protector, so watch yourself.
Exactly, yeah.
Because I did bring my cat.
Yeah, good for you.
Well, I don't know. Because right now I want to kick his ass. Like I slept 1 hour last night. Not last night, the night before. Because between him and my neighbor kid, I'm losing sleep.
Yeah, that's
like
not cool.
Hardcore.
That is not
hardcore, right? So I feel like and then this morning he would not shut up. He's like, "Man, take me out, take me out." I'm like, "Listen."
And you have to take your cat out?
Okay, my cat's like a dog. He is like a dog. And where we lived in Costa Rica, he had I lived on a mountain.
Okay.
In nature.
Yeah.
And he had, my house was not finished.
Yeah.
So it was still open. And he had the luxury of going wherever he wanted.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah.
He would bring all the things he would catch back and, and then it was cool when I would come walking up and I'd come home and he'd bolt down the rooftop and be like, "Mom, here I am."
And look what I brought you.
He would just be so eager to, he's like the dog when you come home, but he's a cat.
Right.
It's funky, but it's cool. He's my empty nesting cat.
I love it. I love it.
Well, right now I'm not loving him so much, like literally I threw pillows at him. I'm like, "Shut up."
Oh, wow.
Because like luckily where I'm at, and I love animals. I love him, but he's just. And then I got that darn kid. I was talking to the landlord yesterday.
Is it crying or running through the house or?
I don't have a house. I have a little bedroom of an apartment.
Okay. But, I mean, are they above you in the...
Oh, the kid?
Yeah.
Or my cat?
Yeah.
Because my cat's not... Yeah, he's crying to go outside. And then the kid... He's not a kid. He's an adult kid.
Okay.
My kid is an adult kid.
Mm-hmm.
Has way more responsible, respect, everything, than this kid. And... I'm losing my mind. I'm losing my freaking mind. I talked to the landlord was there yesterday because I had walked by my meter last week and I noticed that I was like, "Oh, that seems a little high. I haven't ran the air,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have to keep an eye on that here.
I know, right? So I heard that.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am. Every once in a while, I'll walk by and check it, right?
Yeah.
Because here in Panama,
yeah,
that can hit the fan.
It can. And you watch it creep up. And it crept up on me once and I wasn't even in the country.
Isn't that's
Like, wait a minute, I turned everything off.
Right.
I unplugged everything, and I get on a plane and I leave the country and I come back and my energy bill is so high. And so what I did was, I asked
what was it?
Well, for me, $85 was high.
No, I mean not your bill, but what was? Or am I jumping into it?
No. I don't know.
You never figured it out?
I never figured it out. I asked the landlord to, they can send an electrician or someone that's
they're coming tomorrow
to look it over, and they did make some adjustments to the box. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
And then I filed a complaint with Naturgy, and they sided with me and gave me a refund of, like, I don't know, $20-$30.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
And ever since then, my bill has been low.
That's my. So, okay, you're here to hear, folks.
Yeah.
So
you have to be vocal about it.
I did. I was so proud of myself because I was like, you know what? Because my landlord, little side note, he reminds me of my ex-husband.
Oh, no.
A lot of my ex-husband.
Yeah.
And so does this kid. That because it's that I'm better than everybody.
Yeah.
And I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. And I don't care if I'm bothering you.
Yeah.
Like he's one of those that all three of them, they're the ones that talk so freaking loud.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, really, do you think they can't hear you on the other side of that phone?
Yeah.
And that just, me. But anyway, it's that kind of persona. And so he was over yesterday because I walked by. I went by last week, that meter, and I noticed it was a little high. And I was like, all right, now maybe I did something. It was in my head that somewhere I looked at it wrong. Or it doesn't matter. So yesterday, I wasn't actually out there to go look, like, let's go check it, I was right around the area, and I was like, well, I'm going to look at it, and I was like, oh, that's not the same as it was, it should be the same. I haven't touched it because there's two different meters for me. I have a meter just for air conditioning, and then the rest of it is communal. So there's 1 meter for the whole building.
Yeah.
And then we all split it, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, I know. I even went into my calendar because I only use it when I'm talking to my clients because I live right by the Akon Hill. I never pronounce it right. And I blame it on Chicago accent, But I live right there. And I got that little airport, so the airplanes go by, and so I shut my window, and you can't shut a window in the afternoon sun. You know what I'm talking about?
So hot.
That's right. So my little bedroom of an apartment turns into, like, I need my air.
Yeah.
So I let it run for the hour, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
I should not have. The bill's not crazy high, but I think it's a little higher than it should be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. But anyway, he starts explaining off the wall stuff that has nothing to do with anything. Like, talking to me like I'm stupid, right? And I'm like, okay, I built a house. I've had many houses of my own. I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
Stop talking to me. This is what's going on in my head. You just like the sound of your own voice, and that's fine.
And
that's
you like
fine.
mansplaining.
What is that?
Mansplaining?
What is that?
So mansplaining is when a man talks in a condescending way to a woman to explain
the freaking electric bill.
You poor little sweet thing.
Right.
You don't quite get it.
So you know what it said? Because I was like, thanks for explaining everything that I didn't care about.
Right.
What I wanted to know is the question that I asked you.
Yeah.
Why is my meter going up when I haven't used my air? Can you answer that question, please?
So he was mansplaining.
Yeah, I love that.
That's been around a while.
I'm in my little box. I don't get out much.
Yeah.
Mansplaining. That's like,
Exactly.
That's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And it, oh my goodness.
Because, you sweet, poor little thing, don't bother your pretty little head trying to understand.
But you know what's funny? He'll come to my apartment to get a tool.
Hello.
Right. I'm like, oh, really? You need my help. But, I'm just a little girl.
Yeah.
Aw.
What do I know?
Right. I did create a little game. It's,
I love games.
You can either tap it, you can spin it, you can do whatever.
Spin
Let's
it.
see if we get it up there.
And what it? Oh.
All right. What is the most spontaneous thing you've ever done?
Ooh. There have been many.
Do share, if you will.
The first one that popped into my head was when I was much younger. I told you I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my best girlfriend and I had gone out to a nightclub, and we ended up going back to the apartment of these two guys we met. Well, one of them she knew.
Oh my gosh, I think
so one of them she knew, so it wasn't
Okay.
like perfect strangers. But anyway, so we're sitting around drinking with these two guys after the nightclub, so it's got to be 2 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And we decided, let's drive to LA. Let's take Highway 1, which is the coastal highway, which is very scenic.
Yeah, I did that.
Let's drive to LA. Okay.
LA, San Francisco. How many hours is that?
That's about 6 hours.
Ah.
And so that's what we did. And it took us about 7 or so hours. And so we get there, and we're going to go to the beach.
Did you go through Big Sur in them?
Yeah,
or is that
yeah.
Oh my God, that's like my favorite part of that whole thing is Big Sur.
So we get to the beach, and we hung out, and then we decided we were hungover, and we needed sleep because now we've been up all night.
Right.
And we ended up getting a motel room where we all, instead of like doing all these wild sexual things, we all slept for like 5 hours and then drove back to the Bay Area.
That had to been fun.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
And if I called my girlfriend right now and say, do you remember that time we went, she'd crack up. She
That's
would crack
funny.
up, yeah.
And I love the fact that you're still friends.
Yes.
I remember, no, I'm not going to go into that. You want to spin it again?
Oh, okay. I get to spin again.
Have you ever had a paranormal experience?
Oh, God, yeah.
Ooh, do share.
Yeah, I've had.
Let's hear it.
Oh my God! I'm
love
just trying
this
to think. I've had several. I think when my oldest daughter was a baby, she must have been about 2. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to go to work. I was going to drop her off at daycare. And I had her bag and my work bag and all my stuff, and I had her in my arms, and so I get to the car.
A standard mom.
Yeah, exactly,
Right.
I'm holding things in my teeth and on my head. Mm-hmm. And so I place her down on the ground, and I'm throwing stuff in the car, and then I go to pick her up to put her in the car. And I look up, and this kid is running from me playing. She's like, and she darts into the street. And I swear to you, it was like I saw like these angels, like a traffic guard.
Yeah.
Like we're standing in the middle of the street, and it was only two-way, and in both directions the cars just stopped. They didn't screech. They just stopped, and I ran into the middle of the street and grabbed her.
Wow.
Is that
Did you
not
really
crazy?
see them?
I swear to you, I swear it was, yeah. And when my mom passed,
how reassuring.
oh
you
God,
know?
yeah.
Because, it's like a worse. I mean, that's why they have the leashes for kids today.
Because I couldn't reach her.
Right.
She was too far out of my reach. I couldn't
Right.
reach her at all. And I was trying to get her to understand, because she's a kid, she's a baby. She thought we were playing a game.
Right.
And so I was
It's like
trying
why
to get
dogs
her.
run. They think they want to play a game.
Yeah. And so it was totally out of my control. But when my mom passed away, I had gone to the hospital to see her the night before. And
there's always like based on what I've seen, that's like your time frame.
Yeah. And I had gone to see her actually by fluke, because I was working a job that I ended up staying very late that night,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, oh my God, I just don't feel like going to the hospital tonight. I'm so dead tired, and I've been working all day, and it's now into the evening, and I just really don't want to go. And my car's at the train station, which means if I go to the hospital, I got to take a bus and a da-da-da. And anyway, but I went. And so I sat with my mom, and we talked and laughed for a minute. And I said, okay, well, I got to make it home. It's a long day. And I said, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. And I take a bus back to where my car is, and I get home. And so that night I go to bed, and I dream about her. And I dream about her, and as I'm dreaming about her, in the dream I said to her, well, I didn't get a chance to say goodbye. Like, had I known you were leaving, I would have said goodbye tonight. And she leaned over in the dream and kissed me and said, don't worry about it. And I thought, oh, okay, but God, I wish I had known, and da-da-da. And sure enough, probably about an hour or so later, I woke up the hospital calling saying she had passed. Yeah.
That's so, that brings back one for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was all my life. It wasn't all my life. It was 10 years by this point. My mom passed when I was 20. And I waited. I've always been into the woo-woo stuff, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I waited. I was expecting to hear from my mom, ever show up somehow, one way or another.
Yeah.
She didn't freaking show up for shit,
Right.
And except for, there was one time, this was the one that I shared for the example with Jennifer last episode, was my kid, when he was like around the 2-year mark, came waddling into my room, and I was getting ready for work, and he's like, your mommy's here. And right,
yeah,
that was super cool. I didn't know how to respond. I was like, tell her I say hi,
right?
Because I'm in work mode,
right?
And whatnot. But fast forwarding, it was 10 years after my mom passed. It was the same day I got diagnosed with MS. My dad died that night, and I didn't get to say goodbye to him either. They both passed, and I never got to say goodbye to either one of them. And so with my dad passing, I wanted to make sure that I spoke at his like, we didn't have a typical funeral for him because he would have rolled over and screamed at me. So we just had like a gathering and
a memorial.
That's exactly what it was. And so I made sure that I read, right? Like I read my thing, but and I bawled because in my you can't cry in my household, I'll give you something to cry about, kind of thing. So it was horrible. I was embarrassed, and this is, I was young, right? Younger. So anyway, shortly thereafter, I had a dream. And I don't know the time frame, but it was not 10 years, for my mom to show up. Thanks a lot, Mom. Just saying. And, but it's interesting. When I was in Costa Rica, I noticed how I'm actually more connected with my dad than I've ever been with my mom. I always was glued to my mom.
Yeah.
Everybody always says, you look just like your mom, you act like your mom. My dad used to say, you stick your jaw like your mother, whatever. But in actuality, I'm way more similar to my dad.
Oh, wow.
And which I never knew.
Right.
So anyway, the dream, it was like almost like going down a school hallway. Mm-hmm. You're walking down, and I can hear, there was nothing. But I can hear chatter and lots of people in that room all the way down there. So I'm drawn to it, and I keep walking, and I can hear a laughter and whatnot. So I walk up to the room, and I look over, and I see my dad, and he's a lot like me, where we could talk to anybody, and we're always laughing and that kind of thing. And I'm just seeing him with his boisterous laugh, and we locked eyes. We never said anything to each other, but I ran up to him and I just hugged him. It was like, it was the face buried into my dad, and like I was crying,
Yeah.
you know, and then I woke up and it was just so real. It was so real. It was so real. I called my brother immediately, pretty much, you know, and I was like, oh my God, Jim, I just had a dream about Dad. And it was so real. He's like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. I had a dream about Mom.
Yeah.
You know, like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
You know, and you know, I was like, oh my gosh, our parents came to say hello. And what the hell, Mom?
Right.
What the hell? You can't stop and say hi to me. I was your favorite.
That is so funny.
My mom did show up once. I was at my mother-in-law, my ex-mother-in-law. Her husband had just passed, and her bartender, my ex-husband, and they're all alcoholics. So a lot of referrals come from bartenders. She recommended this psychic. So she had never been to one, and she asked me if I would go with, and I was like, hell yeah,
For sure.
right. So I'm in there, and she was like, bring something with you that you've had for a year, and I was like, okay. I forget, you know, of course I forget, but I had my wedding ring, and my wedding ring was my mom's. That I had turned into, like, we had it remade.
Sure.
And it was now mine, right? So I gave her the wedding ring, and she was like, your mom's here. And I'm like, you know, because, you know, skeptical.
Right.
Just kidding. You didn't see that facial expression. But, and she's like, she's saying to her, this is her ring. And I was like, that's all she kept saying, this is my ring. This is my ring. And I'm like, all right, she's here. you know, like, all right, I'll believe you.
Oh my God,
you
right?
know? Yeah. And that wasn't, I guess you could consider that a little paranormal.
Oh God, yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
I didn't even think about that.
Absolutely.
But she finally visited me. That was the whole point. You know? Like, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, no, my mom comes to me when I'm upset.
Yeah.
Emotionally, if I'm doing something, if I have any emotional issues, she comes to me in a dream. And times when I've been doubtful about myself and what you're doing. I mean, I go through that all the time. Like, what are you doing with your life and where are you going? And she comes as a butterfly because that was her favorite. Yeah, and so she
I
comes
always
to
wonder
me.
that. Like, who are you?
Yeah,
you know, like
she definitely comes as a butterfly because that was her thing. She had a butterfly rings and scarves and all that things. Yeah. So, and when I see that, I'm like, oh, okay, hi, Mom.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel my dad's presence more than I feel my mom's.
Oh yeah.
However,
that's a good thing.
I've been told, you know, like my mom was there when my kid was born, like in the hospital room or whatever, and I was like, yeah, thanks, Mom, you know, because that was the one that I always wanted to.
Yeah.
But I think it's just been that journey that I've had to go through. And then it was just eye-opening for me to be like, well, you know, you need to learn about your dad here because you got a big tie. Yeah, and there's a tie there, Christa,
there's
that you don't know.
definitely a connection that maybe there's some things you don't know that you need to find out.
And that's what it's been. It's been unveiling itself. And I was like when I was in Costa Rica, my kid had me take a test, and because he's like, Mom, I'm taking this. Okay. When I was 30, it was the day that I was diagnosed with MS, right? I don't have MS, just, you know, clear the air. Look, but the medical world will say I do, you know? But that launched a whole new world for me, you know? So I don't like to do medications. I don't like to do any of that kind of stuff. You know, I went through my journey, and that's how I roll, right? So now I'm living in Costa Rica. I have an adult kid. I don't like the adult kid. I mean, I do. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my adult kid, but I wish he was still my baby.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that way I could redo some things. Not just only that.
Right.
But so he comes to me, he's like, Mom, I'm being tested for this, and I know how you feel about it, because my brother has the same thing, ADHD, right? And I was like, you're nothing like him. You're crazy, right? And he's like, and I really think that you should get tested too. And because I'm pretty sure that you have it. I was like, you're absurd, you know?
Right.
It turns out, lo and behold, it's not even just ADHD, it's autism and dyslexia, and You know, like,
Wow.
like there's like a hodgepodge of stuff right there,
Right.
right? And I'm like, that's freaking crazy. So I went through this little phase of disbelief, and then, you know, like, okay, I'm coming to, but where the hell did it come from?
Sure.
My dad.
Oh, wow. And you had no idea?
No freaking clue. No clue.
Yeah.
But then I learned about my dad, and he would start businesses, but they would never really go forward with anything. And then seeing him be, like, when I think back, right, like you like how he would just be, and I'm like, that is freaking interesting.
Sure.
You know, like, I think the ADHD part of it came from my dad's side, but then the autistic side was from my mom's, because they're all about numbers. They're engineers. They're all the, you know, like,
Sure.
like that kind of mind, right? But my dad, I could like, that was my problem in Costa Rica, you know. It's like, I can't get my shit together, and that was always my dad, you know.
Yeah.
Like, the money would just fly through my hands, just like my dad, you know, everything. And I was like, holy crap, I'm a lot more like my dad than I ever thought.
Thought
Ever
you'd be.
thought,
Yeah.
you
That's
know?
interesting. Yeah, that's
So I,
interesting.
you know, I think it all happens for a reason.
Yeah, for
you know,
sure. For
I
sure.
do believe that.
Yeah, we're good.
Could you actually push that to me? No, I got
Oh, you got it?
Muchas gracias. All right, what does that say up there? 45. We have a few more minutes.
Oh,
You
okay.
want to spin the wheel one more time?
Oh, sure. Why not? Why not?
It could
Okay.
be fun. All right. Have you ever hitchhiked in a foreign country?
I have not hitchhiked in America or any other country. No. I'm
did.
too scary.
I did. And
I'm like, no, I know out of all the thousands of cars on this freeway, I would get the serial killer.
you think that, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no. In Costa Rica, I did. Only because it's, like, pretty common there. You
Is it
know?
really?
It freaking is. That's what my thought was. Like, oh, no, that's
Wow.
crazy. That's crazy talk. I don't know what you're talking about. You can't hitchhike, you know, because U.S., you're groomed. No, you will die.
Right.
You will die.
Right.
Somebody will come along and
Yeah,
kill you.
absolutely.
You know, and it's not like that at all in Costa Rica.
Wow.
Costa Rica is like the friendliest place on earth. It's almost like Disney. You know, no joke. Like, anytime I be walking, people, they beat their horn just to be like, hello, hello.
Right.
You know, here they're not beeping their. This is a lot like, it reminds me of a mini Chicago here in
Oh,
Panama City.
okay.
You know, you got your people, and it's like, get out of my way. I
Yeah.
got somewhere to go, and you're going way too slow for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's like a mini Chicago that way.
Yeah.
But in Costa Rica, at least down where I was, it was super, super friendly.
Yeah.
I did this, but I never really got to the destination. That was my challenge.
Where
So-
did you end up?
Not where I was supposed to go. Usually I end up getting out of the car sooner.
Oh, okay.
You know, like, nothing crazy, you know. Actually, I got a crazy taxi ride for you. Now, that one was crazy, and that's a taxi, right? You're paying somebody for a service.
Yeah.
Right? Going from the airport to the bus station, I'm taking a taxi. And this taxi guy takes me to a sex spot. You're right. It looked like a whole bunch of store. Twice this happened in Costa Rica. I'm like, what the hell? Do I have like, take me, like, I don't know, I'm written on my forehead.
And
What-
how did they justify that? I mean, what did they say?
They were like, I don't know. But I was like, I'm like, well, I don't know what you're all thinking, but this is no, you know, no.
What is it?
Was it a bird? No, what is, oh, it's a feather?
Oh,
Oh, it's an ash.
okay.
But it looked like a, it just looked cool. It looked really cool. I'm like, oh my God, my sister's talking about spirits and stuff.
Right,
Like,
right.
ah.
Like, ah.
I had a lizard jump on me the other night. I didn't know it was a lizard. It was just like one of those little tiny things.
Like a gecko.
It wasn't a gecko though.
No, it was a
a
lizard.
lizard. It was a lizard. I know the difference. Costa
Yeah,
Rica
yeah.
taught me a lot.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like the little lizard guy. It was cool. I looked it up. You know, I gotta look up all those messages. But anyway, so these are paid people to take me from one destination to the next. So be careful, people. So it looked like a big giant storage unit, and each unit was like recrafted into these like sex spots.
They're
whatever.
push buttons.
I don't know.
No, they're called push button motels.
Twice I've been taken to one, and I was like,
But I didn't know Costa Rica had them.
they do apparently. Like I've never seen anything like these, right? Mm-hmm. So the one was out in San Jose, and that was from the taxi driver. And I was like, yeah, this isn't happening. I don't know. Can you just take me to the damn bus, please? Like, the bus. That's where I want to go, is the bus. Like, that's what I told you, the bus. Let's go to the bus. He finally takes me to the bus, right? And then he wanted me to pay for it. I'm like, take me to the bus, right? So that one's done and over with. Now, fast forwarding, now I'm down in the area that I'm going to be living in, right? Like, I was guided down, divinely guided and everything like that, and I was renting this place while my house was being built. And I started talking to this guy. He was referred to me by the owner of that home to help him with his English classes, like to teach English with him. So the next thing I know, I thought we were getting together to talk business. He's taking me to one of those freaking places. I didn't have a clue. Wow. Because he's like, hey, do you want to go to, like, what did he say? Call them? Like, he said like a spa or a hot tub kind of thing. And I was like, hell yeah. Because I was living high up in the mountains. I had no hot water. I was freezing. So I wanted some hot water. And I am sitting there in my mind, this is what I imagine, you know, like the outdoor spa resorts, you know, like where you walk in, it's like jungle-esque, and then there's like a hot tub over here, and then a pool over here, and it's just really cool because it's in the Costa Rican, you know, like, that's what I'm thinking. We're pulling up this thing, there's a big heart on the sign. I was like, what the shit? You know, it made me think of like oh my goodness. And then he pulls in, and I'm like,
so push button motels, I had never heard of them.
We go in.
Oh, you went in?
Oh, hell yeah, I wanted that hot water.
Oh, okay.
I didn't give a shit.
Okay.
But I had my swimsuit, I was ready to go swim, you know what I mean? So we go in, he's getting butt naked. And he's like, I hope you don't mind. I was like, it's not the first dick I've ever seen, so you do you. I'm getting in. You know, I didn't take myself out. I didn't do nothing. I just enjoyed the hot water and take me home.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know, you can't. Like, no, I'm going for that hot water.
Well, they are a phenomenon here. I knew that Mexico had a couple. I did not know that Costa Rica had any. But they're anonymous hotels.
Yeah, the second one was more like a motel.
So
with garages
with the
and everything.
Garages.
Yes.
So you pull into the garage.
Yep.
And if the garage door is open, that means the room is available. If the garage door is closed, that means the room is occupied.
Look at all that hidden lingo.
And so you drive into the garage, turn the car off, and you close the garage, and you push a button. And that alerts the people on the inside, the attendants, that they have a customer. And you put your money in a slot. You don't see a person, you don't hand them anything, they don't hand you a key. So you put your money in the slot, and when they collect the money, then you hear the door open.
What door?
The door into where the bed and the jacuzzi and everything are. And so you go in and do whatever you're going to do with whomever you're going to do it with. And when you're ready to go, you go back to the garage. And, well, I take that back. You have to let the attendants know you're leaving. And then you go back to the garage and wait. And then they go inspect the room that you came out of. And if you didn't tear it up or there's no dead bodies in there, then they open the garage and you back out. You never see anyone and no one sees you.
Wow.
And push buttons have been around in Panama since the 60s, which I interviewed a couple of people because I want to write about that. I thought it was such a phenomenon to Panama because it's not like the love motels like in Japan. They have the love motels, but there you can reserve the room. You put up your credit card.
That's what it seemed like in that second one in the Costa Rica with like the heart on the sign.
Yeah. But there, like I said, you put up your credit card. They reserve the room for you. There's a name.
But now I'm wondering. I'm like trying to replay it back in my head. Like I'm caught in a moment. So it's a part of me. But like, was the garage door open?
Yeah,
because there was a garage.
Well, if you pulled in, it had to be open.
And I'm sitting there fixing the damn the bathtub, hot tub thing, because I'm like, there's no hot water. There's no hot water.
Because some rooms the deluxe rooms have the jacuzzi, hot tubs, and spas. Some rooms are very simple, just a bed. Some rooms have stripper poles. You can order food. You can, it's a big deal here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
So now you've learned about push-button motels.
Hey. And I've been to a couple.
Right.
I didn't know. That's how my life rolls, though. It's like when people start talking about something, I'm like, I know exactly what that is. I never gave it a name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know exactly what that is. I never gave it a name.
And I eventually, like I said, I've been here 3 years. It took me a while, but I eventually went to visit a couple because I thought I can't write about something I haven't experienced.
Yeah.
Even though I had interviewed people. And couples take Uber out there and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, like, where I was in, like, Chicagoland. There was always this place. I can't remember the name of it. And that's okay, but it was like that kind of place.
Yeah.
Like it was like your fantasy getaway.
Yeah.
Couples getting away.
But also culturally here in Panama, kids stay home. They're 21, 22, 23, 25 years old. They're still at home while they finish school or whatever. So if they want to entertain, then they'd use the push buttons.
Funny, I was teaching kids in Costa Rica. They were like teenage kids, English, and sorry, I could have separated that better. But they were asking me about my kid, and they're like, "How old is he?" And at the time, he was 18.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my gosh!" And he's on his own.
Yes.
He's too young.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's definitely a cultural thing.
Yeah.
And then grandma and grandpa sometimes live in the same household.
Oh, well, what I've seen a lot of is where grandma actually raises the kids. Yeah. And that seems more normal. And I saw that out here
too. It's such a Western thing where we kick the kids out at 18. And,
it's here in Costa Rica and but in these parts where I actually got to learn the meaning of family. I never in my mind got that back there.
Well, and the other thing which I found interesting about Panama, and I'm not quite sure about Costa Rica, but there's no welfare system here. So there's no supplemental, there's no food stamps, there's none of that because family is expected to kind of pick up the slack.
I don't know what that would be like here. But in Costa Rica, they do have a program for single moms. Where single moms and elderly women, where they build you a house.
Wow.
Yeah.
Different understanding of family and culture in some of these other countries.
Yeah.
Which I love. Even here in Panama, where they shut down, the Cinta Costera, which is that avenue that runs along Balboa, coming into Casco Viejo. On Sundays, that's closed to traffic.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so that families can come out and walk with their kids, and it's just so family oriented. Different mindset.
That's a completely different mindset compared to the U.S.
For sure.
Even the school systems, like I saw that. I don't know about Panama. Like Panama's all new to me, but in Costa Rica, they have so many different ways for the kids to learn. Because when I was teaching the English class, I ended up getting a little quarrel. It wasn't a quarrel, but she took it as one, made it her own. There was a little boy that kept running out of. She was kind of like my boss, but she wasn't my boss. Like the one that I would be like, hey, I need help with this or whatever. But she kept having this little one run out of her room. He was too energetic for her. He was too on the go. He was too, wasn't sitting there like they groom them in the classroom. Like we always were groomed too, like that's the one that we had. That was it. That was the box. But they also have, I stood up for that little boy. And this was my next class, and this class was completely different than my first class. My first class was very go get 'em, and movable, and we would do the morning jump, and the excitement. I'm a firm believer movement helps you absorb information and yada yada, right? My second class, very not, they hardly moved. So I had to adjust my style of teaching, because I still wanted them to learn, but they weren't going to learn by me forcing what I like on them, right? So I made that little bit of a comment to her about, a slight, shift in how you structure your teaching could help this little one. She's like, no, I'm just going to tell his mom not to bring him back. Right there. Yeah. That broke me, and then the next day, she let me go. And I could have gone to the guy that actually hired me, and I'd be like, what the hell? But I was like, you know what, I don't want to work for that. Sorry, bye. It sucks that I don't get to say goodbye to my students. It's all about the kids. And that though, that broke me because I'm like, because of you. He's going to think that he's broken. He's going to think he's the problem, and he's going to grow up that way, However, they do have multiple ways where they have like the night schooling for kids. They just have a variety of ways that students can learn there, because they are really big on education. That was a big thing. Yeah. So that's my hitchhiking story. Oh, look at that. We hit the hour mark.
Oh, good. Okay.
Do you have anything you want to share with us?
I am just thrilled and honored to be asked to be in this divine chaos. I love the title.
Thank you.
And it was so good chatting with you.
It was a little bit more of a low key time to get to know each other.
Yeah,
on a
for sure.
different basis.
Yeah.
Instead of running around, okay, I gotta go talk to her.
Right.
I gotta go talk to that one. I gotta go. So I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Okay, let me practice. I want to say Deborah, but it's not.
Deborah.
Okay, so it is the same. I'm dividing it into 3 sections because I got to visually do it in my head.
So D-E, B-O-R, Bo, A-H. So in Jewish culture, there was a woman in the Bible called Zipporah.
No, I got that. You gave me the visualization. Deborah.
So
like,
Zipporah,
like
Deborah.
Like
it's
Deborah.
All, yeah.
Thank you. That helps me learn, I'm ADHD and dyslexic and autistic. I don't learn like from a book.
Yeah, I totally get it.
I literally get a picture in my head.
Yeah, I totally get it.
And that works for me. Yeah. Thank you, Deborah.
See?
That's awesome, Deborah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you joining us today here at Divine Chaos with Deborah. And that's how I roll. I'm sure there's other people out there like me. I know there is.
Absolutely.
I don't learn in a traditional manner by any means. So I will never forget your name again. That was so perfect. I'm going to smile all the way back to the East Station.
Right?
East Station.
I love it.
So thank you again for joining us, and I hope you were able to, find something fun, intriguing and exciting and empowering through our messages today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, and until next time. You got to pronounce it for me.
So
okay, is it Deborah?
It's Deborah.
Oh, I was way off. Still.
But in Panama, it's Deborah.
And in the U.S.,
it's Deborah. Yeah, well, in the U.S., I go by Deborah.
See, and that's what's so different. Like, I talked to my family member this morning, Deborah.
Oh, yeah.
That's how I know it, is Deborah.
Well, technically,
yeah.
Deborah is Debra. Deborah. Deborah
She's got the whole
is really.
She is just spelled exactly like yours.
Yeah.
So I was looking at it and I was like, okay, I know she has that different enunciation.
Yeah.
Okay, so do
Deborah.
it. Deborah.
Yeah.
Deborah.
So think
Deborah.
of the B-O-R.
That sounds so
Deborah.
sexy.
Deborah. Yeah.
Deborah.
Yeah.
It's caught in the